So I'm super sweaty and a little bit knackered right now, but I wanted to quickly make this video at this moment because it will emphasize one of my main beliefs when it comes to not just language learning, but learning of anything. So a core staple of any language learning or just learning habit or program that I'm following, and this has been the case all through school, through Oxford University, a core habit is to twin my learning with exercise. So what I'll do is I will learn, and this might be like reviewing flashcards or doing some drills or practicing pronunciation. I will drill it or stack it before my exercise session. So before I go for a run or lift some weights or something. What I'll also do is I'll try and do something during the exercise session. So maybe I'm on the bike and it's kind of boring when you're on the bike, but instead of listening to music or some random podcast, I will go through and I'll revise my language learning materials. And then what I'll do as well, I'll try and capitalize and do it right after. Now, I'm sure there are scientific studies that will back me up on this, but just from my anecdotal personal experience, I have noticed that my retention abilities are drastically improved whenever I start doing this consistently. I think it might have something to do with blood flow to the brain, or there might be an evolutionary reason, like when you're running or lifting weights, you've got the adrenaline pumping. So any information that you put into your mind around that time, maybe your body or your mind thinks that this is evolutionarily necessary for survival. I don't know, maybe there's other reasons as well. It might also come down to the fact that if you're consistent with this, it's just consistency is a good thing and can improve your retention time. So if you already have a consistent exercise habit, you can bake in consistent language learning by pairing it. I think this is called anchoring when it comes to habits, and this is really, really powerful. It can be hard to just pick up a new habit, but it's a lot easier if you anchor it to another habit you already have. So like me, I already work out pretty much every day, or I'll do some form of exercise. So when the exercise time comes, my alarm goes off, it's time to go, get the blood flowing. I also know that this is time for language learning. So like I have other set times in the day where I'll, drill and learn stuff, but this is kind of like, if you don't get around to that, at least you always have the language learning around exercise time. So like if life happens, something goes wrong, shit happens, at least you had that. So that's a top tip, and for anybody who's trying to learn something complex like a language in a short space of time, I would really recommend pairing it with an exercise habit. And if you don't have exercise as a routine in your daily life already, 100% you need to get on that and throw yourself into that. Get some cardio or get some weightlifting every day, get some yoga, and make sure that you're twinning it, you're pairing it with your language learning. All right, I promise you, it'll be way more effective. And even if it isn't, you just be more healthy, so it's always a good thing. Other things, so we'll do a little update. So for Bulgarian, I've learnt the Cyrillic alphabet because Bulgarian uses Cyrillic. And what's really funny is when I am writing Bulgarian on HelloTalk, which is my recommended language exchange app, I'll write obviously using Cyrillic, and Russians will correct my Bulgarian and put it into Russian. Don't know why. I mean, the languages aren't even that similar. Like you could probably mutually understand each other somewhat, but they're not so similar that a Russian would be like, oh, that's just fucked up Russian. But I guess Russians, for the most part, think anything in Cyrillic is Russian. I don't know. But anyway, the thing about learning an alphabet is just get it done as if your language that you're learning has a different alphabet to yours, like, the English, let's assume. Get it nailed over the weekend, like up front. That's one of the first things you're going to do. Firstly, it's really pleasurable. It's like solving a crossword or a brain teaser or something. But it also tells your mind that right, it's business time. Like you're getting into it. It's time to get down and dive into this. You want to learn the writing system, the basics of it, ASAP, because it's going to make everything else so much easier. Like, for example, all right, Bulgarian, Russian, you're going to learn Cyrillic. You can learn that in an hour. Like, you really can. Go on Memrise, look up some mnemonics. Mnemonic devices are things that make it easier for you to learn stuff. You can learn it in an hour, 100%. You can, if you're learning Korean, you can learn Hangul in an hour. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But yeah, Hangul. You can also, if you're learning Japanese, Hiragana and Katakana. These are the two of the three main writing systems. You can learn those in a weekend. Like, there are whole books that make it easier for you to learn. You can learn with pictures and stuff. Japanese also has kanji, which is like, there's like fucking 5,000 different, characters that you could possibly learn. This is the same with Chinese as well. Obviously only around 2,000 of those are stuff that you'd see from day to day, but you could whittle that down even more. In the case of kanji, when I was learning Japanese, even though I have great respect for the all Japanese all the time method, AJATT, and if you want to learn more about that, then a guy called Matt vs Japan has a great channel on it. I spent most of my time focusing on kanji, and I learned pretty much most of the Joyo kanji, which is like 2,000 and something main characters that you'd see like in newspapers and shit like that in Japan. But what I discovered is I just still couldn't speak. I still couldn't understand very much. And for me, it was all about being conversationally fluent. And while yes, if you're living in the country, you want to be literate, I really think that I should have focused a lot more on speaking as a skill. So what I decided to do, this is when I started to get good real quick, is I cut my kanji studying time down to almost nothing, and I substituted it by doing pronunciation lessons using a guy called Dogen. He has a Patreon, it's really good. He's got Japanese pronunciation lessons, and just outputting like shadowing and stuff like that, and more immersion. That's when things really took off. So yeah, if you're learning Japanese, that was a major tangent, but like with the kanji, maybe learn like 100 basic ones, and then just learn them as they crop up. I mean, this is what I would suggest to me learning again. It might be different for you. People are going to disagree with me. The AJATT community will disagree with me, but I would suggest learn them as they come up. But yeah, for most languages, nail that alphabet ASAP. That should be like a goal you can knock off pretty quickly. That's in your first weekend learning a language. Get that nailed. Also, something to keep in mind, this is like a philosophy or a mindset. When I was researching Bulgarian, I found out that verbs can have 3,000 different forms, different conjugations. So like, depending on time, mood, people, amount, all that shit, you know what I mean? He eats, she eats, you eat, etc, etc. 3,000 different possibilities of what it could look like. So I started freaking out, like, oh, this is not gonna happen, like, this is a lifelong journey. And this is something that I thought with Japanese whenever I got overwhelmed. But then the thing that immediately refreshed me and energized me was this idea that this is a project. This is a 3-month project, maybe 4 months, it's gonna get me to the end of the year, and then we'll assess. This is not a lifelong journey. Like the way I consider Japanese, that's a lifelong journey that will always be with me. But for something like Bulgarian, where it's like, am I gonna need to know that, or is it just gonna make my time living there for the rest of the year more fun and enjoyable? You should never go into these things thinking this is for life. You need to think this is a little project, and that will energize you. And immediately I was like, okay, let's hit it. So if it's a project of 3 months, you can just do the best you absolutely can with an imperfect amount of time. And what more can you ask for? I was talking to my brother, he knows a little bit of Bulgarian because he's, hooking up with girls over there and shit like that. But he said, that's bullshit. The 3,000 verbs thing, it's like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Like, it's really cool. People can like brag about their language. We've got 3,000 verbs, but it's like, that's like poetry. You know what I mean? In day-to-day life, you're only going to encounter like 10, 20 different forms. You as the learner, you just need to kind of know the stem and see the patterns and stuff and be able to say the basic ones. So again, it's a fucking 3-month project. Like, no, you don't need to learn 3,000 conjugations for each and every verb. That's insane. Like, your goal is conversational fluency. And then I came across a Reddit thread about a guy who's teaching you how to learn Bulgarian. And that energized me further because he was saying stuff like, all you need with Bulgarian, forget grammar, all you need is vocabulary and confidence. Different people, different linguists are going to have different schools of thought on this. This is more towards Benny Lewis's school of thought, the Fluent in 3 Months guy. I know the people in AJATT probably won't approve of this because they think you shouldn't output. until you've had enough input so that all your output is correct. Again, I can see positives to both, but if we're talking about a 3-month project here, and we're talking about you want to have a little chat, and it doesn't have to be perfect, you want to have a chat in 3 months, this is your approach. So what you need to do is you go on a site like Memrise, which is a spaced repetition website, and you learn a shit ton of fucking vocabulary. And then if you're super geeky about grammar afterwards, yeah, refine and stuff like that, but you need to have some fun. And watching videos of old women explaining, you know, graphs and fucking grammar and shit on a blackboard on YouTube isn't fun for most people. Whereas, you know, watching a music video and then dissecting the lyrics and then trying to sing it and replicate it, that's more fun. So something to keep in mind, okay? Projects, not life, you know, life fucking, you're gonna master the craft of this thing. Like, nothing's forever. And this is a very liberating thought, I think. Anyway, so those are just a few of my thoughts. Another thought is you've got to be aware that your language learning process, or your process of learning anything, is iterative. So constantly be aware of what you're doing. Like, be quite meta. Try and take a step back from what you're doing and analyze from the outside, and be analytical so that you can improve. So for example, this week I did a lot of vocabulary drills, and drilling is really good. Drilling is important at the beginning. It's not super fun, but it's important. I did that. I went on HelloTalk and I started putting little posts. So those are good things that I did. How can I improve? Okay, the weekend passed and I still haven't booked any lessons. It's like, I keep telling myself, like in a procrastination type way, oh, well, when you know a bit more grammar or a bit more vocab, the lessons will come more in handy. While that may be true, this is a short-term project. So it's like, get some more exposure ASAP. So if we're talking iterative, good, I got the things going. I'm doing consistent, you know, stuff every day towards a goal. Something to improve upon. Book some lessons. Get some lessons lined up this week, like ideally 2 or 3, you know what I mean? The funny thing with lessons, especially when it's your first time with the language, is you're gonna spend a lot of time like this. Like, it's just gonna hurt your head, which is something I'm obviously not looking forward to. It's probably why I'm putting it off. But yes, when you're learning your language or anything, be iterative about the process. What are you doing good? Celebrate that. What do you need to improve? How can you make it even better? And keep asking yourself this. Daily basis, weekly basis, end of the month. And this is how we can hack these languages, so to speak. Anyway, I'm super knackered from my workout, but I still have to stuff some more Bulgarian in my head. So I'm going to close this now and wish you luck on whatever you're working on. Let me know what you're working on. What language are you trying to learn? And how's it going? What are you finding is effective for you? Yeah, let me know. And please hit the like button because it helps me get more visibility. This channel's really small at the moment, so need all the help I can get. Have a good day. And how do you say goodbye in Bulgarian? Oh, damn, there's a big word, but I'm just gonna say ciao. Ciao for now.